Okay, so as far as steps go, if you've got oil, get it out of the way. Don't ruin it. Here's how I do it, okay? What I'm going to do first is I'll just put my crankcase gasket back on. Okay, line it up with the pins, and just rest it on there. Only goes on one way, follow the shape, okay? You can put this on after the other stuff too. You just have to make sure it's on before you put your crankcase cover back on. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my valve tappets in. Okay, and I'm also going to hold my engine like this. My engine's sitting like this, the tappets are just going to slide out. Nothing holds these in. Okay? Once I have my camshaft in, then they won't fall out. Okay? But for now, you're not going to be able to see. There's just two holes right where you took them out of. Slide those back in. I have seen through the course of this class a lot of engines fully put together, and then in their tray are two valve tappets. Okay? If that's the case, your engine's not going to run because your valves are never going to open. Okay? So make sure you put those valve tappets in. All right, after that, I have to put the crank gear on, or the timing gear, before I put on the camshaft, because remember, the gear is closed on one side. So I'm going to line up the notch, okay, with the keyway. Then I'm going to take my camshaft and I'm going to find that timing mark, okay? And I'm going to point that timing mark towards my crankshaft, okay? But before I do that, I'm going to get my timing mark on my crank gear pointed towards where the camshaft is, correct? Now, as I tip it, I got to be careful with that. I think it's easiest to grab the flywheel and turn it. So there I've got my timing mark pointed directly at where my camshaft goes. Now I can take the timing mark on my camshaft, point it at the crankshaft, and get these two things lined up. Again, you want to make sure you're not even off by one, just get it lined up. Okay. If you don't have it on there perfect, you're going to have problems starting your engine. So it's real important that you check that timing. At this point, okay, you might want to call me over and have me just review, make sure you've got everything in here. Okay? But the next step, you're going to place your oil splash on. And I'm going to make sure that that plunger is in contact with that governor linkage, right? That's where it's going to sit. You'll never get your crankcase cover on if this is way off to the side. It doesn't have to be necessarily directly on it, but it's got to be real close. Okay? The crankcase cover will help guide this, but if it's too far off, you'll never get it on it. Okay, some people struggle with this part too. Oh, forgot my thrust washer, so I can just set that back down. Okay, if you haven't put your crankcase gasket on yet, do it now. Okay? Because to put on this crankcase cover, you want to look directly from above. Because what you need to do is you need to line up these two pins, okay, with the two holes on your crankcase cover. And it's hard to tell if you're looking at it from the side, so if you look directly from above, okay, you want this thing to go on perfectly straight. And again, I'm double checking that governor system. Nice and easy over the top. I'm looking at those pins as I drop this down. Okay, you see how it won't go down anymore? That means I'm hung up on probably my governor linkage. So I'll straighten that back out. Straighter you put this on, okay, get that like that. Once I have it lined up, if I give it a hit and it doesn't go on, okay, I didn't hit it with the dead blow hammer. I just kind of gave it a slap with my hand. If it doesn't go on, pull it back up, reposition it, and try again. Okay? This isn't something you need to pound on. If it's lined up and you've done it right, it'll just pop right on. Okay? So, what I'm looking for also is this seam. Okay? I know it's on all the way if I can't see any gap here. Okay? But I'm going to take my crankcase cover bolts. I'm going to place those in. Now, this is a critical component, right? So that means it has a torque specification. So what I need to do is grab my book. And I've got the last one. And figure out the proper torque. So under the front cover again, I go to my 120,000 series engines. I look for crankcase cover or sump. Okay, remember it's got, can't even call it either or. Go down and it says 85 inch-pounds. All right. So before I use my torque wrench, I'm just going to get these close. However, I do not have a specific torque sequence for these like I did for the cylinder head. But what would be good practice? Anyway, yeah, some sort of a star pattern, okay, or alternating sides of this, okay, just like we talked about if you're changing a tire or something like that, which is basically the torque sequence for your cylinder head, right? You go back and look at that, it's jumping from side to side, end to end. So do the same on here, okay? Get them all close. Then go to your torque wrench and go to 85 inch-pounds. Okay, again, working in some sort of alternating pattern to make sure that this goes on nice and even and nice and tight. Okay. After your crankcase cover is on, it's basically just put on your, flip it back over. If you want, at this point, you could put it back up on a stand. Okay. Maybe even mount it to your stand to put your shroud on. Okay. Put your fuel tank on, your oil fill, all that stuff. Gas, oil, start it up, and you're ready to go. Okay.